Tra Roma e Toscana c'è una terra meravigliosa, è nascosta e custodita, sembra un segreto. Per gli abitanti abituati a tanto è tutto normale, ma per il resto del mondo questo è un angolo magico dove castelli di famiglie antiche e there is a land hidden between Rome and Tuscany, where everything is very reasonably priced, but history, tradition, people, really people, are fantastic.
Via, pronti? E questo è un inno al vino.
You can easily buy for what you can get, maybe a garage in Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles, a little piece of paradise with fireplace and with a garden. A lovely place where you grow older or you send your friends and family. Please check us out. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Here we go again. We present or hope to present this little piece of land, piece of the planet, hidden between Rome and Tuscany. And thank God, as always, I have my help, my good friend, Roy Heffner. Roy, good evening. How are you?
I'm great, Giulio. Nice to see you again.
How are you doing in Italy? Is it cold?
It all depends what your definition of cold is. For me, it's, the winters where I live in Villa San Giovanni in Tuscia, it's 50s in the daytime. So I don't consider that cold. At nighttime, it's in the 40s. I think once this year it hit 30, I'm talking Fahrenheit, of course. So no, the winters here are very temperate. In the 15 years I've been here, maybe it snowed 3 times.
Which is a nice change of pace, It's kind of fun to see.
I don't like the cold. I'm perfectly happy here. I went out for a 3.5 kilometer walk today with my dog, and I had a very light jacket on.
Fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so Roy, today we are going to try to answer to some question that a prospective expat that it's definitely considering Tuscia told me. So if you don't mind, I'm going to show you a little video. There are questions, and then he gave some answer, and then hopefully you and I will discuss more of those. Okay?
Okay.
I'm looking forward to traveling, especially with my spouse, and not just traveling, but going to a place where you feel like you're at home. So looking for accommodations in Italy, two or threefold. One is cost of living. It's very economical and very easy. 2, the area that we want to travel and live in is beautiful. People are wonderful. And then the pace of life. And so we boil it down to, we want a place that is small, easy to maintain if we're not there, and is reasonable as far as price. Yes, there is. The deal breaker is if it costs too much.
Okay, so we have a lot to talk about. Let's start. You are a retiree, and at some point you had to decide where to live. So do you remember, can you go back with your memory? What are you looking for when you just retired?
Well, I live here because I can afford to live here. I lived in New York City, Chicago, and the Bahamas at one point, all 3 places when I had money. But I lost a lot of money in the Bernie Madoff scandal. So here, first of all, I love living here, and if I won the lottery tomorrow, I wouldn't leave. I wouldn't go.
Before you go specific, again, go back in your memory, right? When you retired, what were you looking forward to? What was the point?
Well, because of my financial situation, I was looking for a place that I could afford to live and enjoy living there. And so living here in Villa San Giovanni in Tuscia, is what I had those four options. I lived in four places at one time. Okay. And so today, if I had, the money that I had, I would still live here.
So
I wouldn't live in New York City anymore. I wouldn't
let
live
me
in
ask you, going back to what you are looking for now, so a place to live. So to have the quality of life that you have right now, how much more would you need and living in New York, or is it even possible?
Well, I live in my Social Security, but let me just say this: I like living here. Okay. For instance, I go to Rome once in a while because my wife's mother lives there. I would never live in Rome in a million years. Okay, in a million years, and I no longer want to live in New York City and Chicago. If I had a choice, and maybe I would still want to go to the Bahamas once in a while because the pace of life is so much easier. I've done New York, I've done Chicago. Here in the village, I'm perfectly happy. It's a wonderful lifestyle. I'm very healthy. I'm 79 years old. I'm much healthier now than I was 20 years ago because of the food and the culture, and I have friends. So I'm perfectly happy. Now with the internet, I can stay in touch with my relatives and my friends in the States, but I never plan on going back. And again, if I won the lottery, I would stay right here in this village. I might build a swimming pool, but
So let me try to summarize. You are definitely looking for a place to be happy, and Italy, which brings me to the next question, looks like is a perfect option for everybody. And I'm trying to put together a few information. So Italy is reasonably priced. If you decide to live in a village, is very reasonably priced. And on top of that, the quality of life, the pace of life is wonderful. Am I right?
Of course, you're right. You're always right. No, it is. First of all, I'm living in the village. I have chores to do. We have an olive field that I maintain, and I help maintain a couple of horse corrals in the village. Out doing stuff. And if I was in the big city, I wouldn't be doing any of that. I'd still be going out to restaurants and drinking myself to death, and so again, if I had the choice, I would stay here. And now it's become my village, and I have many friends and Rita's relatives. So, but I wouldn't change. I wouldn't. If I had a lot of money, I might travel, but I would not leave here.
So it's a strange question. Is it just because it's Villa San Giovanni, or you think the feeling is similar in any little
no,
village?
it's all, we're talking about Tuscia, and Tuscia is certainly one of the most unique regions in the world. And because it's quite a large area, relatively speaking. It's like Bavaria, Bavaria in Germany and Austria is Bavaria is Bavaria. It's not German. It's not Austrian. It's Bavarian. And here in where we live, it's Tuscia, and it's really quite different. So there's so much, as we've talked about many times. There's so much to do here that it's.
Yeah, I'm proud to say that if you have a huge map of Tuscia and you put the finger wherever, very close by, maybe 2 miles close by, there is something wonderful to see. That's very unique, I think.
Yeah, I've told you before. I can walk from my house and walk for 20 minutes and be at a 3,000-year-old goddess temple. that sits in the middle of the woods that no one ever sees.
The Metra, right?
You know, if it was in the United States, it'd be a world, UNESCO place.
Heritage. Yeah.
And there's hundreds of those places around here.
Okay, so again, try to use your memory. Were you this clear already back then, 15 years ago? Did you know what you were looking for? Did you know that Italy was going to give it to you?
Absolutely not. Well, first of all, wherever I am, I'm happy. You know, I'm a happy person. I'm me. So if I'm in New York, I'm in New York. If I'm in Chicago, you know, if I went to tomorrow, somehow I was transported to Shanghai, I would be perfectly happy. I would get along fine, even though I don't speak Chinese. But here, you know, first of all, I like the ocean. I'm an ocean person, and I can go to the ocean, you know, in 40 minutes. I play golf. I got within, you know, easy distance, 3 golf courses, even though Italy is not a big golf destination. If I want, you know, to see exhibits or something, I can go to Rome, you know. So I'm not lacking. I'm not lacking anything. But we ended up here because it was because of the cost of living, and because this was of the 4 locations where I could afford to live. But it's not like I was sitting in New York going, "Oh, someday I'm going to move to Italy," and you know.
So this brings me to the last question that Eric poses, right? So do you think Italy is affordable for Americans living, for example, in Social Security or whatever, right?
Well, for Americans, it's incredibly affordable. You know, I've looked at, you know, other countries around the world where I could live on my pension. The problem is they're third world countries. No, they are. You know, you can live in Vietnam or Cambodia or Philippines, but you know, Italy is a first world country. It's the 8th largest economy in the world, and the healthcare system here is fantastic. And I have a healthcare background, and I worked in the greatest hospitals in Chicago and New York, so I know healthcare. The healthcare system here in Italy is fantastic. And if you're older and you're living in some third world country, or even you know, say Spain, you know, I mean, Spain's a wonderful country, but I wouldn't want to get health care there. The health care I've had here in Italy is fantastic, and so the cost of living here is. This is a real estate show. I mean, you can come here in Tuscia and buy a piece of property. If you want to spend a lot of money, you can, but it's not a lot of money. I mean, if you spend $1 million here in Tuscia, you're going to get an unbelievable, fantastic place. But for, you know, $60,000, you can find a very nice place to live, you know. And I'm talking a very nice place to live, not a place that's a wreck and you got to spend $100,000 fixing up. So, and food here is very inexpensive, and clothing here is very inexpensive. The only thing that's relatively expensive is gasoline for your car, because the government makes a lot of money. But I have a car that gets 50 miles a gallon, you know, so it doesn't matter. And the heating, we have a gas heating system, so gas and electricity are a little more expensive here, but not, you know, not that much more. You know, it's really not that bad. So the cost of living here is much lower. You know, the incomes that people make are also much lower. So it's not like you're gonna, if you're making $200,000 a year in New York City, which you need to live in New York City, you're not going to find a job here anywhere close to that. You know, a good job, a really high. One of my best friends here in the village is a IT guy, and he has a tremendous job. He makes $70,000 a year, which in Italy is a fortune. You know, so but living here is the the cost of living here is fantastic.
So can we say that according to the 4 questions I posed to Eric, you have a positive response regarding each and every one of them?
I'm sorry, a positive what?
So I posed 4 questions. No? So what were you looking for when you retire? Why Italy? Do you have any specific requests? Do you have any doubt? Any deal breaker? Italy, particularly a small village, solves all of them.
It certainly did. It wasn't maybe, it was serendipitous, it was because my wife's Italian and this village is her mother's ancestral village. So it's serendipitous, but it was, it turned out to be great. I mean, it's like, I couldn't be happier, really.
Okay. Let me show you a very, very small spot and we talk about it on the other side. Just take a listen. So spring is coming, and with spring, Tuscia and Fiore is coming. And of course, the place where you're living in San Giovanni in Tuscia, Villa San Giovanni in Tuscia, is the opening spot of Tuscia and Fiore. I am very excited. Are you feeling the buzz in the village?
Oh, yeah. Well, as you know, you probably can't say this yourself because you have other villages. The Tuscia and Fiore in our village is the best, and there's no question about it. And this year, because of the May 1st holiday, it's 4 days. Normally it's 2 days, but this year it's going to be 4 days: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's going to be bigger than ever. But Rita, my wife, the artist, she's working on creating this peacock as one of the centerpieces in the village, and she and some other women are building this peacock. It's going to be unbelievable. So we're looking forward to it, and it's going to be bigger than, we're going to get a couple thousand people here. So I saw that Marta is also doing one. I'd probably go to Marta and check. Marta's a wonderful city on the lake, and so I might go to Marta and check it out. But of course, we're looking forward to it, and it's going to be great. There's going to be more stuff going on. It's going to be 4 days of fantastic stuff.
So that's another big reason to come and live in the village. Every village has a little, I don't know how to say, traditional, unique history on this event, where people gather together, eat good food, eat in the middle of the street. It's really, really, really fun. Do you agree with all of this?
I do. And, to give you an idea, so last year, my niece, Megan, came for Tuscia and Fiore, okay? She's coming back this year.
Yes.
She is, just for Tuscia and Fiore.
Well, this is fantastic.
She had so much fun. She, one of the things that we do is we have some guys making cheese and,
ricotta cheese.
Yeah, ricotta. And so she was helping make the cheese last year, but she had so much fun. She's coming back this year. So it's just wonderful. That's the reason. One of the reasons I love the village. We do a lot of this stuff during the year. Tuscia and Fiore has become the biggest, but there's, we do a dozen or more things every year. Big things. We get a lot of people coming. I've said this before, that one of the reasons we're so successful is that we have these large fields where we can park hundreds of cars. And one of the problems with most of these other villages is no place to park.
That's right.
And so it's difficult for people from the outside to come in. We can park an unlimited number of cars, and it's right in the center of the village. It's not like you don't have to walk a kilometer. So
right.
we have that advantage. But the people that run the village, Magnapote, Fabio, and the rest of the crew, they're really dedicated, and the whole village is dedicated to this. It's interesting. It's the only time in the year where the liberals and the conservatives get together. That's it.
That's it.
No other time. But everybody participates, and it's a big deal. And so
that's fantastic. Okay, so enough with the Villa San Giovanni. I want to show you something else, and this is sort of a prequel. Next month, we're going to be talking about a specific village, and I want to give you a taste. And I know for a fact that you love this village. So let me show you a little piece of a video, okay? Again,
Okay.
take a look, and then we talk about it on the other side. Here we go.
Here we are on Lake Bolsena, just over the border in Latium. Staying for the weekend, our favorite hotel, the Eden, that I like to call a slice of Eden, right here on the lake. And in this lake, I had a swim at 7 in the morning before lakeside breakfast. It's time for lunch now, and many guests are always enjoying the goodness. And I can see that our son Keegan just arrived, and there's husband Pino. So time for lunch. Pino and I are sharing an antipasto of corregone, an agrodolce, the sweet and sour sauce of the corregone of Lake Bolsena.
So enough. These videos are lovely to look at, but we got the gist, right? So Bolsena Lake is a fantastic spot. I know that you go every time you can, right?
I've been there many times, and it's fantastic. It's just a great place. And I'm a geographer by education. I'm interested in Earth's history. So Bolsena, the village, and is wonderful. But the lake is the largest volcanic lake in all of Europe, and it's just beautiful. It's just fantastic. And in the city of Bolsena, which comes up to the lake, there's wonderful restaurants, and it's just great. And it's really a wonderful place. That's where my son is going to buy a home, because they were so impressed by Bolsena.
I have a question for you. She, the lady of the video, was very happy and pleased to show us the little antipasto with the correcone. I have actually a very strange question for you. Were you ever disappointed while going to a restaurant in Tuscia?
No. No, never. Now, I used to be a restaurant guy, so I've been to some of the best restaurants in the United States. I've been to Michelin-starred restaurants. So you don't get, in the average Italian, restaurant in Tuscia, Michelin-starred food. You don't get fancy food, but you get wonderful food. Just freaking wonderful. And again, at very reasonable prices. The what you just showed on that video, it still wouldn't be very expensive. It's
So what would you say?
When I was in Sicily recently, we went to a Michelin-starred restaurant. I wasn't happy.
So
my daughter was paying. My daughter was paying, thank goodness. But I've never ever had a bad meal in Italy.
So what would you say? How much is the average for an average good meal in Tuscia? How much is it for one person?
Well, for one person, first of all, I drink wine, but you can get a carafe, a half liter of wine for like €6. You don't just spend 30 euros for a bottle of wine. You can spend 30 euros for a bottle of wine, but you don't. And that carafe of wine is great. But in Bolsena, for instance, there's a restaurant that's right on the lake, and I've been there many times. And we sit outside on the deck, on a nice day. So for two of us, we'll have côte de vongole, mussels and clams. We'll have, say, maybe a fried shrimp and calamari, and a salad, and a bottle of wine. Yeah, you're talking like 40 euros.
Wow.
Big deal, right?
Big deal. That's right. Big deal. That's right.
I spent $1,000 once at Jean Georges for two people. Come on.
There is this aspect, and this is the last question of today. So it's a very well kept secret, right? It's between Rome and Florence, Rome and Tuscany. Not many people, and part of the people, including you, probably don't want tons of tourists. I think we don't want 1 million tourists, but we would like to let everybody know, one, that you can move in, and like you yourself, and also you can come and spend a couple of weeks going from place to place to place, and every spot is pretty fantastic. Would you agree that we don't really want too much tourism? We don't want to change the nature of it?
Well, I first of all, I've been to all the tourist places in Italy. When I go to Venice, I love Venice. I don't care if there's 1 million tourists. I don't care. I love Venice. However, here there's very few tourists in all of Tuscia, very few. So I'd like to see more tourists for the local businesses and the hotels and that kind of thing. But there'll never be a lot of tourists here. It's just not going to happen, because when people come to Italy, they go to Rome, they go to Venice, they go to Florence, they go to, and then they never come back. But people who have come here and visited with me, when they come back, they stay here. They stay. My best friend is Luxembourgish, and Roland and his family have been here 6 times, and they stay here. If there's only a couple of them, they stay in my house. But if there's the families here, then they go. We have 3 Airbnbs in the village, but they come here on their vacation. So people who have been here really love it and love to come back.
That's a fantastic angle you gave me. Yes, you go to Rome once, you see the usual Colosseum, St. Peter, whatever. But if you do go to the village, you go back, because it's such a pleasant experience, right? Altogether.
It is, and it's the real Italy. Tuscia is the real Italy. Okay, people, Tuscany. Well, Tuscany's beautiful, and Tuscany's got part of Tuscia, but the real Rome is not the real Italy. New York City is not the real United States. Okay, it's New York City. Where we live here in this area in Tuscia, this is the real Italy. Our village is a very typical village. The people here love the village. The family's number 1, village is number 2, food is number 3, clothing is number 4. What about the prime minister? No one in this village gives a damn about the prime minister.
Fantastic. Okay, Roy, you are completely right. It's true Italy. Tuscia in Fiore, Tuscia is definitely a little piece of land where life is the way it's supposed to be, and the way one would imagine the life in Italy. Thank you so very much. Of course, if you give me a chance, I will want you again next month and so forth. And next month, we'll be talking a little bit more about Bolsena. And hopefully my guest, Eric, saw the episode. So he will get some feedback from you, and we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Okay.
You are very, very, I wish you a very, very good, pleasant evening. Bye, my friend. You take care.
All right. See you next month.
Next month it is. Bye.
Bye.
Regista, com'è andata oggi?
Bene, benissimo, come sempre. Ci vediamo alla prossima, Giulio.
Dalla Tuscia